Okay, what I'm going to do is push the tabs towards the other side a little bit more. Try and keep a little bit of heat off the handles. It's not going to happen. I'm going to burn my fingers. I'm going to be a tip. So, out for a wander. Just chuff me, I'm getting fat. Just tabbed all the way up the village, because you look like a right weirdo, don't you, when you got a bit of a pack on and that, and you're moving. So, yeah, just going down the lane now. This is, to be fair, it's just behind my house. I'm not going to make it up that I've gone to some far-flung place or anything like that. This is literally the fields behind my house. I've gone for a wander. So, not sure what I'm going to find. What I'm going to do is, I can actually get down here in the landy. You're not allowed to take the landy down here, but you can get down here in the landy, and I can get all the way to North Lincolnshire to a couple of my mates' places, because these are all the farm tracks. You know, you see the motorway bridges that nobody uses but the farmers. It takes you down all them. So, a lot of them are privately owned, but you could get down them. So, yeah, all I'm doing now, I'm looking for, because it's fields either side, there's not a lot between, say someone walking the dog, something like that, and a bit quieter location. But in places, if you can see, the trees jut out and it gets a bit deeper. So we can find a bit where it juts out and it's a bit deeper. There's half a chance of getting Basher up and stopping out the way. Right, there you go, come on. Right, so the whole point of this is there's a lot of people that either don't know what kit to buy, or they've not got someone to go with, or anything like that. So I'm trying to make it just to show a cheap bit of kit, basic stuff, because you really don't need much. I mean, I go out in a Land Rover and I've got 2 or 3 of everything, but that's just because I've been doing it a long time and I've got these options. I've still always got the fallback of just grabbing a Birkin and buggering off. It's not as difficult as a lot of people make out. You definitely don't need all the expensive gear that you see. You know, when you go into all these hiking shops and stuff, and you see these mega expensive tents and these mega expensive titanium pan sets. You know, it's all nice kit. Yes, it's lighter. Yes, it makes your life easier if you carry a lighter kit. Do you need it for an overnight in the woods? No. While I'm rattling onto the camera, I'm walking past this. So as you can see, it's quite deep, but it is quite close to the path. The downside of something like this is it's not people seeing you, because like with a DPM tarp, in the shadows and stuff, it's very unlikely you're going to be seen, unless you're playing films on your phone, you're talking to someone, that kind of daft thing. It's the dogs. Dogs are very perceptive, and they will sniff you out, and they will go for a nosy. So it's just something to bear in mind, because that looks like a good fallback position if we don't see anything later on. Downside is, the more I walk down here, the more open it is. So what you've got now, you can see, it's all opened up. Them trees look absolutely ideal. However, there's an old hall over there, and it's very, very close to a lot of people. That's about where I've come from. You see over there, there's another, it looks impressive, but it is just a tree line, and there is a farm just behind them trees, so that's no good. So what we're going to try and do now, I think, go a little bit further here and see if we can jump over to one side. Once we're across the ditch, we can then work our way back and see if we've got any better spots. What I could do is, like them spots that I've just pointed out, I could just push my way in there, but what you're going to end up with then is you can see what all the ground's like around here. If I go pushing my way through, I'm going to flatten a load of the grass, I'm going to snap a load of the branches, twigs, things like that. Anyone walking past is going to spot me straight away. So what I need to do is go way past it, jump to one side and go back a way that people aren't walking back and forth, so it's not too obvious what I'm doing. Like I say, this isn't some tactical sneaky beaky kind of camp. This is just if you've got nowhere to go, because a lot of people say they've got nowhere to go, and tonight I've just left the house with nowhere to go, so it's kind of just a test. One thing that I don't have that I really should have is some gaiters, because it's like one of the wettest Junes on record, and it's been raining for weeks solid now. And I don't mean like rained every day, I mean it's just rained and rained and rained and rained, and the trousers are getting wet. The upside is they're the very, very lightweight 511s, so they will dry very quickly once I stop bashing through all the water. But what I have noticed, if you look over there, that's the rain coming again, so I haven't got too long before I start getting really wet. Right, so I broke trail now, and I can't emphasise how hard it is to try and get across a deep tree line, not so much deep but very, very dense, without snapping stuff, breaking stuff, trampling on stuff and making it too obvious. Okay, if you can see a straight path through, don't go for that, because everyone can see that straight path straight through. Okay, try and go to one side and round the less obvious way, but covering your tracks. And like I say, don't do it where you actually intend to be. That's the spot I'm looking at, but can you see here? So everything's trampled down. We've actually got a dead mole, so there's either cats, dogs, something or other that regularly frequents this spot and comes through here. I don't think it's deer, not sure what it is, but either way. Right, so it can be a little bit quieter now because I don't have the added advantage of having a line of sight down the lane. Okay, so I can't see if there's someone walking up that's going to hear me. You could do it given and just make the noise and tell them to bugger off if they come, but I'd rather not have the aggro. So yeah, as you can see behind me, I've got some longer grass which shields me from the field side being seen, and we've got probably 15 metres of trees and dense brush to the path itself. What I'm doing, ideal world, if you were in the woods, you pick some trees that work out the right width so you can string a line across, things like that. When it's something like this, you don't have that luxury, so what you do is you'll set up and use whatever you can to actually build the shape of the basher how you want it. And while you're doing it, just pause for a second, every now and again, just stop and listen. The first job, bug spray, because I've just gone in here without the Bergen on, and every branch that I touched, insects flew off of it, loads of green fly. Right, that's because the crops are starting to get up a little bit, and not only that, it's rained and rained and rained and rained, so the bit of shelter that they've got, they're in it. So yeah, spray up, nice and stinky. Probably melt my G-Shock here, especially around your ankles. Okay, let's get that back in the pack. Please bear with. So, in the bag, top of it, I've got a trauma kit. Okay, things that you need to get quickly. So that's top zip in the side, straight there. Okay, got a couple of other little items like lighters, knives, things like that that you want to get quick. I'm going to burden up first thing in the top's a bottle of wine. So now, right in the top, waterproof smock. Okay, got the Ridgeline smock. This is because you can drop your bag, get your waterproofs on, and don't get soaked, because once you're wet, you stay wet a long time. Okay. Next one down there, I have a jumper, purely because you're going to get a bit cold. You're going to put that on, you're going to need it in the top. You don't want to take all your gear out to get to your warm, dry clothes. Normally, when I get my food, I'll split it up and pack it evenly, but I did want to show you the contents and take it out in order, so I've left it in. The rest of that in there is my sleep system, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to get some shelter up first, which is all in a side pocket so you can access separately. This thing, bungees, easily lost thing. .58 poncho. These aren't something you see that often, but they used to be dirt cheap. I've had this one since I was 13, and it's still going strong now. I think back in the day I probably paid about a tenner for it, so it's not an expensive item. And now use this as a ground sheet. Last but not least, got a DPM basher. Okay, these again, you can pick these up for between £10 and £20. They're not expensive and they're a great bit of kit. I'll leave the paracord on because it always comes in for something. Okay, so there's a seam that runs front to back. Make sure that seam is where you're going to lay, because it makes it very, very easy for you to put a line on one of the toggles and lift it up. To get a rough idea, I've put my bungees out in the four corners, and I've got one in the front at the middle, and I've bungeed it straight to a tree above. I'm not going to keep it like that overnight, however, while I'm messing about, getting all my kit in and out, setting it all up and stuff, you don't want to be trying to lift up and all the rest of it, get it under. So because it's on bungees, you can lift it up, and there's a load of spring in it in every direction. I've not got the most ideal spot, but like I said, I've gone this, so it's more out of sight rather than a more comfortable setup. So what I'm going to do now, because when this goes down, there'll be a bit of slack in the middle and we don't want water to pool there. So if you put the basher the right way round, there's tabs all the way along. So we're going to tie a bit of paracord round that tab and round the branch above, which just lifts the middle up, which makes all the difference when you're inside it. I am no expert on tying knots, however, when I used to do rock climbing, when I wasn't 20 stone, obviously, what a good one was you double it over, so you got the loop, and you do it all the way around, back round past yourself, back through, and you pull it up, which gives you a nice loop. That's a lot easier to work with when you're hooking stuff on, because that means you've only got to tie one end. So I'll pass that through the loop. Once it's through the loop, I can pass this end through, like such. You've got a bit of a lasso, pulls tight, holds it. You can do the similar thing at the other end and put a stick in it. So when you're done, you pull the stick, it all comes apart. You can hear that weather now. One thing I want to emphasise more than anything else, if you take a bit of kit out of your pocket, the second you've finished with it, do not put it down. Put it back where you found it, right? Once you've been doing this a while, it becomes second nature, and it's not so bad if you do put something down. You tend to be a little bit more used to where you're putting things, you get into a routine. However, until you start, as soon as you open a pocket and you get something out, close the pocket, right? Same with your bag. As soon as you've finished getting what you want, close it back up again. What happens is, you'll open the pocket, you'll get what you want, your burden's in the way, you move it, all your stuff's just falling out, you lose stuff. If you lose stuff, it's not the end of the world, you're just camping. It can make you very uncomfortable though. because it might be that item that you really need, like you torch or something. It gets pitch black and then you're not going to die or anything, you're just out for a wander, but it just makes life difficult, doesn't it? So yeah, put things back where you found them. The other thing as well is, once you get into a routine, put the stuff back in the same place. So always keep your torch in the same place, always keep your knife in the same place. Then it gets second nature when it is dark and you can't see, or whether you think you've lost something. You know when you do your keys wallet phone dance because you think you've lost something and you pull yourself a little bit. Same thing when you're out. You can just have a quick feel, you know where the item is, you know what it feels like. Right, I'm waffling now. As you can see, I'm getting more and more closed in because it's raining, it's windy. What I need to do now is get my ground sheet. So I'll finish with my paracord. Back in the pouch. Okay, close that. This is why, as well, you pack your Bergen for the stuff that you need out first. Because if it was absolutely lashing it down, you don't want to be getting all your sleeping bag out, leaving it on the side to get soaking wet while you put your shelter up. Right, unfortunately, I'm not going to give you the best angles, the best shots, things like that, because it'd be nice to have a fair bit of space, you know, in the woods or something like that, where I can set the tripod up, get things out and show you. So what I might have to do is, you know, like insert clips of items when I get home to show you, or I don't know how I'm going to play it, but either way, yeah, I'm set up now. As you can see, got the basher overhead, and if you look round in the gaps and stuff, this is why British DPM is the best pattern to have for areas like this. The only thing close, I would say, is German Flecktarn, similar kind of thing. So yeah, the MTP is good, but it's multi-terrain, so it's a compromise for all terrains. This was designed for British woodland and German forests, so yeah, it's the one to have. I like it anyway. I'm old school, so I'm not into this MTP stuff. I've got my headend. That's not my pillow, by the way. I'm not that brutal. I've got no roll mat or anything. I'm not overly chewed. It was one of them things where I'd rather suffer for a few hours than carry it, and keeping it minimal. You know, it's would be nice to have like a bit of a bivvy bag, but I don't like the claustrophobic kind of feel of them. So one thing I would say though is, when you put in the ground sheet down, make sure it's quite a bit inside of your basher, because last thing you want is your water to run down here onto your ground sheet and then pool in your ground sheet, because then you're just going to end up piss wet through and there's no point having a ground sheet. Okay, just little things that you will learn on the way, but it's better to pick up from someone else so you don't have a bad night's sleep. I've done it before where I've had to put my basher up against it was against a barbed wire fence, and it was on a bit of a hill, and it rained like this all night, and the rain came down the hill, but that's where I was told I had to put the basher, so that's where it went. And unfortunately for me, my sleeping bag got wet, and there's nothing worse than trying to keep the rest of yourself dry, trying to sleep on your elbows and knees all night, but it is what it is sometimes. And yeah. Right, so when you're looking at kit, I like to split it down into different sections. Okay, so the first thing that I look at is shelter. Okay, you need some shelter to keep you dry, so you've got a few options. You can get a tent, easy, that's a no-brainer. You can go around and you can figure out what you're going to do with that. Personally, my first bit of canvas that I always like is this. You can start with this, it's cheap, like I say, between 10 and 20 quid you've got one of these. Okay, then you can get another one or something smaller like this that I've already got, again, because it's all about using what you've got, modifying it or improving it. Okay, so I started with the 58 poncho, that's now my ground sheet. Again, that was about a tenner, so you're up to 20 quid for what I'm sat in now. I don't think that's overly expensive. It's you know, you could just not have pizza for a night or something, have a tin of beans. So yeah, the only thing that I would say don't scrimp on to start with is your load carrying equipment to actually get the stuff out there.
Personally, I like the old MOD stuff because at the end of the day, it's not the best in the world, but it's frigging tough. You can throw it about and it doesn't break easy, and that's a big plus because you know it's going to last well. This Bergen here, it wasn't overly cheap because I've had a cheap one to start with and then replaced it with this. This I've had for a good 15 years and it's still in almost new condition. It's taken it well. I've also got a 90 pattern one, which is the same again, but it's not camouflage, it's just green. So if you wanted to go up into like your average everyday camping areas, you don't stand out too much, I don't think. It's just something to bear in mind. You can get the smaller ones to these, and they are really cheap. I think I paid £15 for the one that I've got of that. So again, that's not an expensive item. All these items do add up, but every hobby does. There's no getting around that. But what I'm trying to get across is you're not paying £200 for some fancy shelter. It is £10-15, maybe 20 if you get a really good one. Once you've been doing it a while, I mean, I'm happy with this. But the next kind of progression that I'm going to show you is I'm going to get my hammock out, and I've got a big nice tarp. So again, it's the progression on for different systems, because if you enjoy it, you want to try different angles of it. You know, you're not just going to pick something and go at it the same every single time, because you won't want beans on toast every night for tea, would you? So vary it up a little bit. So yeah, that's the shelter. Okay, the next thing is something to sleep in, something to sleep on. Okay, sleep in, sleeping bags. Again, British Army Arctic sleeping bag is my first go-to cheap sleeping bag. About £40. I'll get you a good one. They're a bit heavy, but they are good. For that money, you could get a 4-season off of eBay. It's all synthetic, it's a lot lighter. Again, it'll get you started, and I won't worry about it wasting money, because there's no end of times like now where I'll put like a cheap blanket, sleeping bag, something like that down as a base layer to sleep on, to insulate myself, and then have my good one that goes over me, so you're not tidying in one claustrophobic little maggot. It's options. I wouldn't say sleeping bags are a waste of money, because there's always use for them. Someone might want to come with you if you've got the space. So yeah, eventually get a good sleeping bag, because you're fine in summer, but as soon as the cold comes round, it's good to have a good sleeping bag, because there's nothing worse than a bad night's sleep. And if you're a bigger bloke like me, I mean, I'm about 19 stone now, 6'3", your average sleeping bag isn't going to fit you very well, so definitely look at a bigger one. It's something that's well worth getting. You can also get ones that have like a zipping panel to make them a bit bigger. Definitely go along that angle. That's something I'm looking at, a fishing sleeping bag for going in my swag bag, which is another option I'm going to show you. Other little things. Got this for my birthday. It was my birthday a couple of days ago, and the missus got me this, which is like a poncho liner, so like a wubby kind of, whatever the Americans call them. Never used one, but I'm going to put it down on the floor. There's a bit of insulation on the floor, and then get in my sleeping bag, which is a nice option. Okay, from there, ration pack. Right, people say these are expensive for food. I don't think so if you buy in bulk. If you buy it individually, you're looking at about 17 quid, which is expensive. If you buy it as a case of them, you're looking at about £7 or £8 each of these. And for 24 hours of food, drink, odds and ends, everything that you're going to put in your body pretty much, I don't think 7 quid is out of the way when you're looking at 3 meals plus snacks plus all your other little items. Okay, what else have we got? So yeah, that's your shelter, something to keep warm in, and the food. Okay, so the next thing that we'll look at is what you're going to cook in and on. Right, so if we go down to the front of my bag, we'll open this up. Again, old kit. So you normally have a bottle that goes over, a cup that goes over the top of this. Then you've got your bottle itself, nice tight fit so it doesn't rattle, and then you've got your cup. Okay, that can go on any kind of fire that you make. It does get hot, will burn your lips, Some people put a bit of black tape around it. You know, you're gonna have to wear gloves or something if you're taking it off a fire, but it's less than a fiver, usually about £3. These are usually about a fiver or something like that. You can get a brand new set. It's the Crusader cook set, and it is good. Don't get me wrong, it is good. You get a little lid for the top of here. There's a new one out now where the cooker that goes on the bottom of it, instead of having your hexi burner, you could put twigs, all kinds of things like that in it. And yeah, it just works well. It's something that I will get eventually, but I don't think it's over cheap to get a brand new full set. Even comes in a pouch, there's a lot. So yeah, that's what, again, you want something to cook in, you want something to cook on. So that's you cook in, and again, put that back, zip it up. Next bit, paracord. If you're not doing the usual camping in a tent and stuff, paracord, eBay, £7 will get you 100 metres. It doesn't have to be the 550 fancy, all singing, all dancing. It just has to be cordage. Okay, you can tie your basher up, you can tie what you want up, whatever, you get a bit kinky, do your own thing. Okay, I've got odds and ends. Again, you know what I'm like with first aid kits and stuff. I've got a trauma kit up there. It's got a marker pen, it's got a quick clot, it's got a tourniquet, it's got some dressings. That's worst case. I mean, that's, to be fair, that's the one that goes everywhere when I'm shooting and stuff. Got the other small one that seems to always end up in my bags and stuff. Thank you, Mr. 762. Always squaring me away with some nice stuff. Knife, fork, spoon. You know, I've got my little ridge monkey fetish. That can be out your kitchen drawer. You know, you don't need fancy titanium, this, that and the other. These things, like I've said before, they're nice, you don't need them. Okay, so this is a set out my Land Rover. Hexamin burner. This is a great starters thing. Personally, if I was starting, I've got them myself. I used to carry them in my motorbike pannier. It's just a little gas burner. You're looking at £3 to £7 depending on size of gas bottle you want. Then you're looking, you can get the cheap Chinese knockoff gas burners that sit nice and low, and you can cook plenty on them. Personally, I get a big gas bottle and a little one. When the big gas bottle runs out, you've got enough on the little one to put you on till you get another big gas bottle. That's my personal preference, but that's what I'd have. Do I carry one of these? Most of the time, yes, just because it's old school. I like it. All this does is take that bit off, open this up. Okay, this is your fuel inside. It's a solid fuel, so you don't have to worry about it rupturing, splitting, bursting, setting fire. It's covered in wax, it's fairly waterproof. You put one or two of the little tablets in there, you light them, you put this over the top. On crowbag, put that over the top, and your cup sits nicely in there. Okay, it's as simple as that. Half fill it with water, put your boiling the bag in, you've got a meal in no time. One thing I would say, cheap lighters, get a load of them. Not the cheapest you can get, but cheap ones. Okay, stick one in that pocket, stick one in that pocket, stick one in your trouser pocket, stick one in your other trouser pocket. I'll tell you what, when you need a lighter, fire's one of them things. It's nice to be all bushcrafty and give something a stern look while holding a twig and it bursts into flames, but when you piss wet through and you want to brew and you just want something warm or you need fire, it's so nice just to have a lighter to hand. Same with torches, get a couple of them, put one in your Bergam, one in your pocket. Okay, while we're on torches, torches, technology now, right? There's so many on the market and it's an absolute minefield for people. They don't know what to get, they don't know what brand to get. You'll get people that say, oh, get this one, get this one, get this one, it's the best thing ever. And then a year later they're saying a different brand's the best thing ever because they, you know, to just get them. Personally, I've got this one. I've had this one quite a while. Stu got me this. This is, I think it's a 7 or 8 quid eBay special, and it is bright as, okay? It's nothing fancy. It does the job. I have got some nicer torches, but realistically, this is the one I carry. So, yeah, it's don't get bamboozled into thinking you have to spend huge money, because it produces light, it produces it well, it doesn't break easy. Like I say, the expensive ones do perform better, but then again, a Formula 1 car's faster than my Land Rover, but I wouldn't want to go camping in a Formula 1 car, would I? So, it's what works for you, and remember that. Right, another subject where you can go off on a tangent and you can end up spending huge money. It's knives. It's one of them tools you've got to get, and the one to get to start with that I still have to this day, I've had it years, it's the Mora. You're looking at about a tenner again. So it's a Scandinavian grind. You can't batter it as much as a bushcraft knife. You know, you're not going to batten it. It's not a full tang. What it is though is insanely sharp when you get it new, and it's very, very easy to maintain. Keep an edge on it. Doesn't go rusty unless you get the high carbon one. It just does everything it says on the tin. It's the most ugly, horrible sheath, but it works, and it's got good retention so it doesn't fall out. It's got a belt clip. What more do you want for, I think they start at about 7 or 8 quid, and they go up to X amount depending on what you want, whether you want a fire flint and stuff. Personally, I wouldn't get the high-end one of these. Just get the typical reasonable size, about 10 quid one, and it will do you while you get comfortable. Okay, then when you get a bit more coin, you get a bit more knowledge, you get more comfortable using them, then you start to look at like your British Army survival knives, then you start to look at your more custom knives, like I've a lot of Wessex Blades stuff, because as pretty as it is, I can absolutely batter it and it will take it. So again, it's one of them things that will do the job. So there we go. So that's your shelter covered. So that keeps you dry over a weekend. You've got your sleeping bag, so it's your sleep system sorted. If you can keep dry, you're in your dry area. Your sleeping bag, you can keep warm. Okay, plenty of layers. Worst case, you get wet. You can take a layer off, dry it out while you've got another layer on, something like that. You know, get a nice waterproof coat, nice waterproof smock. There's loads out there. Again, it's one of them things you're gonna have to ask people and see what they use. Don't be swayed by one person's opinion, because that person may have got some preference to what they use, because either it works really, really well for them, or they've got a preference because they get given it. It's a fact of it, unfortunately, and I can be biased because people look after me, but I will openly tell you which ones I get and why I like it. So yeah, just don't let someone tell you it's wrong. It's just wrong for them. So look at the options and see what works for you, because what works for me might not work for you, okay, and vice versa. I've been doing this a long time now, and you might start this and find a quirky little way of doing something. I see it and go, sure, if I know why I do that all along, and I learned something, and that's just the way of it. So don't let people sway you one way or the other until you've looked at options, because you can't beat options. And some people, they've been shown a way and they take it as absolute gospel because it works for quite a few people, but it doesn't mean it's the best way. It just means that way works for them really, really well.
View for the evening. Can't really see it from the basher because you've got all this lot, as you can see. I've not trampled down coming this way. What I've done is I've come in again and I've come round, so at a glance looking across you can't really see where I've walked in unless you are coming along the same path. The only thing I've got an issue with is probably 20 metres that way there is a public footpath. Can't get any further away from it. Is what it is, but again, I'm just showing you that you can do it more than anything else. So yeah, we duck down. So from this side you can see I've got this cover here, panning round. you got that in there. And look at it blend. This DPM's frigging awesome, innit? Look at that. And like I said, as soon as it gets a bit later on, we take that bungee out just there, and this whole side comes down. So from the back you've got DPM, from this end you got DPM. So yeah, nice and low, because once you're in it, you don't need all these big high up settings. It's nice when you're in the woods, you've been all bushcrafty, you've got a hammock, the shelter, you can walk under it and shit, but these are very, very small. It's big enough just to keep me dry, so we want it as close down as possible without touching it. So one thing you might notice is I've not got sleeping bag or anything out. I don't get that out till last minute when I'm in a basher. Reason being is I've got my boots on. I'm in a dirty area. I don't want to I'm getting in and out and in and out and in and out. I don't want to try and muck in and it be all over my sleeping bag. So last thing, I just make sure everywhere's clean, pull it out, jump in it, move my boots where they're not going to get full of water and everything, and that's me for the night. Right, so ration packs. Some people don't rate them. Personally, I quite like them, and I think the British Army ration pack is probably the best one in the world, because it's 24 hours food. It's not just one meal. Okay, like I say, buy these in bulk like I do. I get a case of them at a time, and you get a lot of gear in it, so for your little treats. Okay, so you got smooth peanut butter, nice little treat if you like peanut butter. Okay, you get your bag of all your sundries and things, so you get your wet and windy matches, which these light, you can put them underwater, they still stay lit. You got your tea bags, your coffee, your whitener, your water purification tablets. Even if you don't use these, put them to one side, they don't hurt to be in your kit. You get a great big spork, you get some hand wipes, some cleaners, odds and sods. Eventually, when you've had a few of these, you get to pick out the bits you like, you get to throw away the bits you don't like. Happy days, you've got something to go in all your little bags and things, haven't you? Okay, so squirty fruit kind of yogurt thing, nice little sweet treat. You've got no end of energy drinks, colas, things like that, and I think there's what we've got. So we've got tutti frutti flavour, energy drink, hot chocolate, a raspberry drink. You've got cola flavoured drink. Depending on what rat pack, you get different ones, so you can swap and change them with people, or you know, whatever you've got. Dayton fig fruit bar. That sounds. So you've got just fruit, raisins, sultanas, sweetened. Oh, this sounds horrible again. Lots of healthy, kind of clean food in here. Personally, I like the bit older rat packs where they've got your chocky bars, things like that for a fat lad. Yeah, because you've got things like sesame seed bar. This is they've definitely gone up market. It's catch-22 because the main meals and desserts are so much better. But I preferred the sundries in the older ones. You know, when you used to get like the Yorkies and stuff like that. Anyway, tuna in a light mayonnaise, that's beaut. I've had these, this one's in date, this rat pack, but I've had these tunas that are 10 years out of date and it still tastes absolutely bang on. All day breakfast, can't go wrong with that, that's awesome. This will be a dessert. This is sticky toffee pudding, I like a bit of that. You've got tomato and basil soup, that is quite nice. You've got steak, vegetables and dumplings, that is beaut. And you've got biscuit browns, they will block you up. You used to get biscuit fruits in the old ones as well, and rumour has it they block you up, biscuit fruits loosen you off, but I don't know about that. But yeah, that is, I mean, when you think about when you're going to go outdoors and you get one boil in the bag meal, and that's best part of £4 or £5, just that one. So then we look at 1, 2, 3, 4. Boil a nice little snack thing. If you got that from Tesco's or something, a big bag of dried fruit like that, that's going to be 50p to £1. Health food, snacky bars,
That's not cheap. Another one, not cheap. Umpteen of these isotonic drinks. You know, I think that's worth the money, but I suppose it's personal preference. There's 1,000,001 videos of people doing reviews on these, taste tests, things like that. I'm not going to bore you with it. I'm just going to show you that's my cheap budget option. And the other thing I love about this, if you're a beginner, is it's very, very clean and you need very, very little water. Because when you do one of these boiling the bags, you're heating a bit of water up, which is making you brew, and then you're eating your food out of that wrapper. So you're not then having to clean your pans, because what I see a lot of people doing is they're pouring the food in the pans, they're cooking it, then they've got to clean it, and how much water are you using cleaning all your pans out of all your food and this, that and the other? Then you're carrying around your rubbish with you, or looking for a bin, or if you're a scruffy bugger, you're leaving it somewhere. One thing I will always say to carry that takes a bit of space up there: baby wipes. You can, if you get the fragrance-free ones, you can then clean your pans, clean your bits and pieces with them. You can clean yourself with them, which is important in the field. And you don't see many people saying this, and you do get some people that are just minging. So clean yourself, give yourself a wipe down. You can always burn your waste off, or you can, what I tend to do is you use this as your little gash bag. You put everything in here and put it in a pocket, and you dispose of it as and when you can. But yeah, baby wipes, camping lifesaver. Along with Toblerone and wine. I mean, these came out of an officer's rat pack. Right, so it's about 10 to 10 at night now. It's starting to get a bit misty and everything. Pheasant's doing me frigging boxing. So yeah, last bit of light now, so I'm going to get my sleeping bag out, set it up across there, and play with my phone for a little bit, drink the rest of my wine, and when I get comfortable and last bit of light goes, I'll just pull that bungee out and it'll lower it all down. Happy days. Right, there we go. Excuse the lighting, I don't want to put any torches on or anything like that. So yeah, there we go. I've got the sleeping bag out and got this poncho liner thing that I'm going to try for the night. Little snug pack one. There's absolutely no thickness to it, but I've got a funny feeling it's going to be one of them really, really tightly woven things that works quite well. So I'm going to sleep in the. I'm going to get myself shuffled down in the maggot, and I don't like being claustrophobic, so I'm going to leave the sleeping bag open a bit and pull this little blankety thing over me. See how it goes. It's got 2 chances. I don't think it'll ever be as good as a wool one, but it's worth a try, and I'm impressed with the missus for actually getting something that is useful for me. So yeah, well, good. Right, best start moving. Right, good. Went back to sleep for a bit. It's now 7:45, so I'm gonna get moving because there's gonna be a lot of dog walkers, I reckon, coming down this line. And you know, it's like the dogs will be off the lead and they'll be running around. So I'm gonna get everything squared away, ready. It got really, really cold this morning. Yesterday it was quite humid. It was, although it'd been raining a lot, it was very, very humid. Rained quite a bit through the night. Well, it's gone cold now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get everything squared away a little bit, get everything packed back up again, and then we're going to make a brew and make for some breakfast. So that's the bit that's tied up, so that gives you all the space in here. And as you can see, that's quite low now. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to reach up, grab the bungee, hook it back on there, gives me a living space back again. Right, so you've got 2 ways to tackle this. You can either take the basher down, then you've got everything that you can get to nice and easy. So ideal world, load of time, sunny, all the rest of it, that's what you do, because then you've got no height restriction or anything. What I do is I leave the tarp up and I pack everything away under it until you're back to the bare ground again, and then what you can do is, last thing, you've got 4 or 5 bungees and a tarp just to roll up, put in your bag, and then you're away again. So yeah, steady away. Wow, it's gone cold outside your sleeping bag. So, exi burner, like I say, if you're starting, ideally you're going to go for one of them little gas stoves, but I mean, like I say, these you can't fail with these. And even if you run out of hexi tabs, you can still have a little fire in there. And the one I'd go for, like I say, is the Crusader cook set, which is just a far better system. It's just the modern equivalent of. So get that nice and planted. Make sure there's a little gap underneath for the air to come up through. And then the other thing as well is make sure it's sturdy, because you're going to put your drink on here and everything. You don't want someone to fart or the wind to change or something and it all tips over and it chucks red hot water all over yourself. Okay. This packet itself is covered in wax. It does burn, it just doesn't light very easily. Okay. So again, the Mora knife, cheap and cheerful. See if we can get one of these out. These have probably been here for the last 50 years, so they don't like to come out. On these, they're a bit crap to get started, and if you leave them solid, they work totally fine, don't get me wrong. They're just, they don't seem to burn as fast, so it's always worth breaking one of them down into a couple of little pieces, and one of the smaller longer pieces, because what you tend to find is these are wax coated as well, so if you snap it, you've got more chance of getting to the combustible fuel when you're trying to light it. Already got it out. So yeah, there's no to it. It should be common sense. If you're struggling with a lighter, like I showed you last night, in your rat pack you've got your wet and windies. Okay, there. These little matches here, don't throw these away. Get a little medicine tube or something and put them all in, and even save the little striker, because without the striker they won't light, but once these light they ain't going out quick. That's a big disguster bug. Might take some of these bugs home and eat them later. What a lot of people do is they'll fill that up with water and then put the bag in, and then the water pisses everywhere because I've put too much in. Put that in first. Right, just roll it from the top down. Okay. Doesn't totally fit in. I tend to just do it for 5 minutes, flip it over, and then once you've done it for 5 minutes, flipped it over, do it for another 5 minutes. When you're done, mush it all together, it mixes it all up. It's not hard. What I'm going to do is push the tabs towards the other side a little bit more. Try and keep a little bit of heat off the handles. It's not going to happen. I'm going to burn my fingers. I'm going to be a tip. Okay, everything is nice and neat, little pile. Everything to one side. Everything's away that needs to be away. The only thing we've got out now is my jacket, my rat pack. Now that I've shown you the contents of this, I can break this down and put it in my pack, because that is a complete ball bag to try and put in there and carry around. It takes up far too much space. But like I say, as soon as you know what's in them and stuff, just like I say, just pick and choose the bits you like, sack off the bits you don't. Standard issue with 500 earwigs. And yeah, it's I'm gonna have to try these sesame seed bars, because I don't know, it just looks a bit odd to me. So, while that's waiting to go, we know that we're going to need a spoon, coffee, sugar in a whitener, okay, a couple of sugars, them ones, whitener. So another thing, people think that these ration packs are poor quality. If you look at the branding on them and you actually look at where they're made, it's the same stuff, it's the same factory that supplies places like Go Outdoors with their expensive boil in the bag meals. It's just different packaging, okay? So don't think you're getting something less off. So for a couple more quid than just one meal, you get an entire box with 24 hours. So it's another reason why I think it's a better option. Right, so the bottom of the pan, you can start to see the bubbles coming up, so it's getting warm. Look at this. Trying to waste too much water. Flip it over, give the other bit some. Looking at it, it's getting a bit low, so what we'll do, we'll just bust another tab and pop that in there, because that'd be enough to have a warm breakfast. I want a hot breakfast and a brew. There we go. Nice big bubbles. Flip that over. Give the other side a little bit of the extreme heat. Give it another 30 seconds of that or so. And what we'll do is burn your fingers time, because I've put on my leather gloves at the in my cubby box, you know, if I'm using the winch or anything like that. So what I'll have to do is grab a second set, because I don't want to keep moving my good gloves between the two. I'll get another set for my Bergen. Drop that down. So I've got sugar, all the wrappers, we can burn them. Instant coffee, it's not the greatest, it's Nescafe, does the trick though. It makes everything, put the fire out, it's great. Some whitener in there. With these, mush it about a bit, make sure it's all evenly kind of done. Right, you've got two little tabs, okay, there and there. Get them off and you can eat them from the top. These ones aren't as bad. I'm sure they used to be a little bit longer than they are wide. What I tend to do is I'll do it lengthways. So I'll get it and I'll go in this way. And the reason for this is, one, it's easier to see what you're eating, and two, you can actually get your spoon in, no problems whatsoever. So you can see there, it's open lengthways. Once you've done that, it's really easy to get to everything that you want to get to. And it's also a much bigger opening, because it like turns into a bowl, because it splays out. And they're alright, these, they really are. So you've got bits of bacon, bits of sausage, beans. It's everything you need. And the coffee just sat there. like I say, it's a lot easier with the gas. But like I said, for this weekend, start from the bottom, work your way up. The main thing is, you've seen now, it's really easy with a 10 quid tarp, 10 quid with the cook gear, a sleeping bag and a Bergen. You've got 10 quid knife, and that's about it, and a 10 quid food. So, you know, 50 to 100 pounds would totally set you up, which a lot of people, you know, they won't have that disposable to hand, but it's something you can chip away at, isn't it? It's one of them things where you can lose a tenner here or there, you know, just getting something one month and getting something the next month, your birthday comes round or something, whatever. Well, it is doable, and like I say, I'm not on a campsite, I'm not in some fancy permission, I am just tucked away on the edge of a field near a footpath. So if you think you can't do it, you can see that you can. It's not horrific, it's not great. I think the worst thing about it is the whitener, innit? It's, you know, when you look at it, it's all like, if you leave it sat for a bit, it don't quite mix very well. It'll float to the top and look rancid. Alright, so I'm going to finish my brew. Go through some comments on the tube reviews, and once everything's cooled down, I can pack it all away. All I've got left is to put this ground sheet and that in my bag, and I'm away. What I'm going to do is, I'm not going to go out through the field side again, because I think I did quite well not to mash too much grass on the way in. I'm going to go straight out the front. I'm going to go straight out the front for two reasons. One, I'm not coming back to this spot, so it doesn't matter if it's compromised and people see that I've been in here. And two, I just don't want to mash more of that side up. I'm going to go for that side where all the dogs run through. That's actually a much clearer way to get through under the trees and bushes and stuff. It's just the final bit where there's all the long grass and odds and sods onto the path. I just didn't want to have that showing last night for, you know, some, you're going to get that nosy sod out you that sticks the nose in or something like that. So, yeah, right. Ooh, that whitener. Yeah, great response on, really surprised on last week's video. Crazy. It was just an update video and people seem to like me with waffling on, like showing stuff and ranting and things as much as anything else. Oh, there's always one. Nobby Naberto. I mean, when you use the names Nobby Naberto, you just know you're a knobhead, don't you? Bet the locals love drunk twats speeding down their roads in trucks. Right, at no point did anybody drinking drive. Where is it? What's he referring to? Yeah, you just get them, don't you? So yeah, just checking a few messages now and a few comments and things. First one, Nobby Naberto. Bet the locals love drunk twats speeding down the road in trucks. Alright, nobody that had a drink actually drove, so you're full of shit there, you're just assuming. As for speeding, that's a 30 road, that's a daft. He did not get up to 30 in one gear. So you're an absolute fucking melt. Just absolutely amazing. You're getting pinned to the top. What I've started doing is all the knobhead comments I just pin to the top so you lot can see them, and because I think a lot of these people, they put these knobhead comments on, and you get a lot of YouTubers that I don't know, they don't like the confrontation, or they don't want the negativity of so they just appease everybody. Me personally, I don't give a shit. I reached my 10,000 subs, I'm really happy with that, and people like this, absolute melt. So yeah, got Big Boy Frank, he's always on, he always leaves a good comment. Wing San, he's always on there. Right, I'm going to reply to a few of these. It'll take me a minute. You're not going to see a right lot on this one, but disgusting bugs everywhere. Over the top of the bag. At the top of the bag. Okay, so that's all the bungees. Make sure they're to one side because they're easily lost and they're not that cheap. And you don't want to be leaving stuff in there. That's it, that's how long it takes to break down camp. Not sure how long that is, but I don't think it's bad. Could probably do it quicker, but I'm under the trees, which makes life hard. Right, there we go. Let's load up. What I'll do, it's not that wet and you get warm when you're carrying this, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to put the Ridgeline jacket just in the top of the pack.
So there we go, that's where I stopped last night. The only thing you can see is obviously I've flattened all the mud in, compressed it a little bit. So what I'll do, I'll get some sticks, a few odds and ends, just chuck it all over there so it doesn't look as obvious. But I don't know if you can see, just through there, that is the edge of the woods. Not even woods, it's a tree line. So there we go, just raked a bit about, just got a stick, agitated the surface, chuck some more sticks on. It's not perfect, but at a glance you wouldn't know. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go around that tree and out that way, see if we can find a way out. Right, so final little thing before you move off, do the keys, wallet, phone check, yeah? So you're going to check, you get your torch, you've got your lighters, you've got all your little odds and ends that you get out, you've got your knives. You're going to check every zip, every pocket on your Bergen, make sure everything's strapped down, make sure nothing's going to fall out, because like now, I'm not going to be able to put my Bergen on straight away. I'm going to have to kind of throw it over a few bits, chuck it under a few bits. If you've got a pocket slightly open, you could be losing bits of your gear. So yeah, just make sure everything's stowed nice and tight and you're not going to lose anything. So right, I'm happy with this now. I've had a little sweep round, no rubbish, no mess, traces are covered as best as possible, and yeah, let's get out of there. The path is just there, come through here, under here, and that tree there, I was on the back of it, just there, so we're no distance in at all. But as you can see, with the colours and stuff, there's no way you'd see me, not unless you're really looking. Oh. Edibles. Yeah, so there's the path. There's a little gap I've come through. As you can see, if I'd have stopped a bit closer on, it would have been obvious, but you can't even see to the back low down. Higher up you can, but the height I was at, not a chance. So let's get back. As you can see here, there's a big pond. Some of you know where this line is. It's a big pond, and I need to have a word with the guy that owns this. I've tried a couple of times, but he's very eccentric. I'm gonna wait till he needs a favour. That looks like a good little spot. That's that lake there. It's not a lake, it's a pond. Gate here, and you can see it just doesn't get used. So if it doesn't get used, I wonder if he would like a drink every now and again, for me to be able to pull my Land Rover through here and park up next to that water. That's how you get permissions, just find it and ask. So, for the people out there that don't do this, I hope it's been informative for you. I hope you've seen how easy it is. If you're unsure, best thing that I can say to do is get yourself out to your local park, like a bit of a wooded park where they've got a car park where you can park up near some trees and stuff. Set a tarp up, get some shelter, cook yourself some tea or some dinner, whatever you want to have, and just hang around for a few hours. If you can do that a couple of times, you've got used to setting your gear up. I'd highly recommend, once you've done it a couple of times, wait till the weather's crap and do the same again. That way you're getting your practice in crap weather, because it's totally different when it rains. You think it's not, it's just a bit wetter, but it's not, it's different. So do that, then you've already trained for kind of the bad weather and stuff, so it's not going to put you off if you go out and you get bad weather. Okay, once you've done that and you've been out for a few hours and you've just cooked some tea on the edge of a car park, something like that, then, you know, up it a bit. Do what I've just done. I mean, I was going to go out most of the afternoon yesterday, but it was just hammering it down, raining. So what I did, I had my tea at home, then just went for a walk. Stayed out the night, made myself some breakfast, I'm going back. Once you've done that a couple of times, extend it again. So the next step from there would be, I'd have my evening meal there, I'd have my breakfast, I'd go for a wander during the day, come back to my camp, have some dinner, and then pack up. And just keep extending it to the point where I think the longest I've done in just a Bergen is just over a week, which isn't an overly long time, but when you're covering a lot of distance and it's a different place every night, it takes a bit of practice, especially when it's middle of winter. Then you can progress it. Once you've got that nailed, you can then start to look at things like kitting your vehicle out. Because if you can do it out of a bag for a couple of days, it's even easier out of a vehicle. You've just got different options. You've got much heavier options. So yeah, try it. That's the main thing. Have a fallback, have it so you can just disappear off home if it gets crap. Don't put yourself off by having to go full Rambo and stuff first time. So yeah, for the people that do this all the time and things, I'm sure you've got your own way of doing it, and I'm sure you can appreciate there's new people that are trying to learn. So yeah, if you enjoyed that, give us a thumbs up, leave us a comment. If you want more of these videos, more tips, more tool use, more kit use, things like that, I'm happy to do it. I just don't want to be condescending or anything like that, but at the same time, there's a lot of younger people that watch the channel, and there's also a lot of beginners, so hopefully it's of use to you. So yeah, if you haven't subscribed already, subscribe. Got subscribe up here, we've got a previous video over here, we've got Patreon down here. Thanks again to the Patreons, and you know you're awesome, and you know the better camera and all the rest of it. I mean, look at this, in focus all the time. So yeah.